Alright, thank you once again for joining us today at Samatoka TV studio. Alright, today, this video you're about to watch right now, Apostle Aromé Osayi and Apostle Joshua Selman, they reveal the shocking secret that will shock you. Many anointed people are victims of this sin. Alright, over to you, sir.
Completely. Laugh again as we continue. If I get this lady pregnant, for instance, listen, it will look more regrettable because there is something obvious. Her stomach will protrude. Are we together? But if I lust after this lady, now she doesn't get pregnant by me lusting after her, so I will think I am free. Are we together now? If I slap this lady and there are marks of my hands on her face, you call it wickedness and you say this guy is wicked because there is a physical expression. But if I hold bitterness and jealousy, bitter anger and rage, sorry my dear, against her, it's easy for you to think I'm a spiritual man. Are we together now? Let me tell you something I have discovered. Bless you, darling. You can pick up your own. It is easier. It is easier. Listen, in fact, in my opinion, I know that sin is sin, but in my opinion, what the Bible calls the sin of the spirit, have you read that? There is the sin of the flesh that can have physical evidences. They can have regrettable consequences immediately. You are punished for it, you receive embarrassment for it, and it's over. But what the Bible calls the sin of the spirit, that may not find any physical expression, is more deadly. Listen, is more dangerous. It has the highest ability to choke your spiritual progress. Are we together now? And for many believers, when you begin to walk in the kingdom, because you are focusing on other things like the anointing, you know, faith, trying to understand redemption, understanding the Pauline epistles, understanding a lot of things, you know, the miraculous visions, prophecies, the gifts of the spirit, because of your focus on these charismatic dimensions of truths or the principles of the kingdom, very little attention is paid to these very deep spiritual things. In fact, usually we interpret them to be basic. We just feel, let's talk of great things like power, miracles, etc., etc. But as you rise in God, you will discover that the text of your dealing with God will no longer be physical things. Are we together? When God begins to deal with you at a mature dimension, you will find out that his concentration will be the motivation behind everything. He's not as interested in the physical expression of it as it is the root cause, the motivation behind everything that you do.
I had a great mentor. He's a prophet. Great mentor. He taught me how to handle the gifts of the spirit. Because those days in Benue State, Kogi State put together, those days when we were in the 90s, the early 90s, there were only few people that operated in the gifts of the spirit. You could count how many prophets there are from Plateau State, Benue State, and Kogi State. And in terms of the prophetic office, he was the rising star of the prophetic in the entire Middle Belt. So I learned the ways of the gifts of the spirit from him. He was the one that taught me the kind of rigor I had to put in the closet in order for me to trap several tools that will back up my teaching ministry. Then the only thing I could operate was to teach. But he said, no, you are not equipped for ministry. You have nothing supernatural about your life that will make people believe you're teaching. Then he taught me how to receive the word of the Lord. And I followed him from place to place. He was indeed a prophet. And a time came. I don't want to mention so many details so that if he hears, he will not know that he's the one I'm talking about. A time came, the prophetic grace grew. And he could look at a campaign poster and know who will win an election. His accuracy was something to reckon with. And my mentor began to sell prophecy at that time. So you drop some money before he tells you the word of the Lord. Now the reason why you will sell a gift is because you don't know the purpose of your calling. The reason why you what? Sell it. Because your gift was given to you. The only reason for the gift is to vitalize the calling. So when you see someone abusing a spiritual gift, it's because the person is losing sight of his calling. When you lose sight of your calling, that is when you can begin to merchandise a gift. Merchandising gifts comes when you lose sight of your calling, because the real substance is the calling. The gifts are spices that God makes available to make people accept the calling. Are you with me? Started selling prophecy, and he was so gifted in the prophetic. He knew things about nations. He knew things about many nations. In fact, I don't know what nation was that, and the immigration, they were questioning him because he had visas into 22 countries. And they said, what do you do that you travel so much? He said, I'm a prophet. And he must make you understand that that's what he is. I'm a prophet. I'm a prophet. So he is not very tall, though. The immigration man kept, he said, okay, I will show you a sign that I'm a prophet. He now waved his hand like this. The power of God took the man away. So they had to beg him. Do you know that because that immigration man fell, the news, they trafficked the news to the president of the country that one prophet came, they were trying to stop him from entering, and this is what happened. The president called for that my man. And then my man, he can see the future. He can see the future. I assure you. He began to tell them the future of the nation and what they needed to do at that time. Instantly, the president gave him a gold mine. Yeah. I don't want to mention the name of the nation. Gave him a gold mine. It's that gold mine that they gave him that made him lose his calling for many years. Meanwhile, at the end of the day,